Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated.
Dun, 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 dun.
Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs shied away from
This is the way.
This is the way that we're doing the episode.
This is the way. Welcome to Every Man's Guide to Nerddom, where we are two 30 to 40-something-year-olds who talk about pretty much whatever we want. You know why? This is the way.
Because this is the way. Yeah.
This is the way.
We're gonna
I'm
run
Chris.
hold on.
And I'm Kyle. And thank you guys for showing up and taking a listen. You guys could also find us live and in person if you're into that kind of thing. We play video games together live on the internet on Twitch. You can find Chris over there under Guyver Unit 01. That's GUYVERUNT 01 on Twitch. Myself, KSIG, K_SIG, G like golf. And we stream together almost every Friday and Saturday, doing random games, horror games, indie games, whatever our fancy is grabbed by at that time. And on the Discord, peoples, the Discord is growing, which is great. Doesn't cost you a dime to join the Discord.
It's free.
It's all free. We'll have links down in the show notes below. So join the Discord.
Down
below.
Yeah.
This is the way below, right down here.
That is what we both said on our last date.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Oh, fuck. But I forgot to hit my button in time. It's way over there.
Great
But
white
join the
buffalo.
Discord. Lots of cool discussion happening. It's growing. We're getting new members like almost daily, it seems like. New people coming in. Just
Getting some
lots
good
of
discussions.
good discussions. Lots of stuff to talk about. Whatever you want to talk about. I feel like I'm way more like, if you guys are only listening, you're missing out on like half of the show right now. Go check out the YouTube. And there's links there. I don't know. Do we want to link that? We'll figure it out. But like, subscribe, follow, favorite, share, do all that stuff. Help get it out there. And help us think of some more things to talk about. And you can do that by joining the Discord and joining the discussions. So yeah, hop in that.
Join the discussions, they said.
So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the
My Little Pony?
My Little Pony, My Little Pony.
What about gummy bears?
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. On the square.
They are the
The way to
gummy
gummy
bears. Dun,
Now.
dun, dun.
Or gargoyles. That'd be a fun one to talk about.
Or we could talk about DuckTales.
Whoa.
Woo! No, we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett.
I hear. Okay, so we're not at the end of the series yet. There's like 2 episodes left. How many's left?
One.
I hear that Boba Fett may make a cameo in the next episode.
I hear he may also. Wait,
Yeah.
I think, let's see, 6. No, there's 8. So there's 2 left.
There's 2 left. So we are through episode 6 right now where we're talking about this. We haven't done our normal like Nerkie stuff on this because there's so much shit happening right now with all these different properties and movies and TV shows and video
In our
games
real lives.
and live. I can do that without removing my helmet. That it's for us to Nerkie all the things that we would love to. We would have to have no lives and we would not be able to eat, sleep, or actually edit the episodes to get them out.
That's
So,
true.
We're doing this one kind of a high fly episode over what's happened so far. Chris and I have talked off recording about some theories that we have that we want to kind of throw out there to you guys just to think about and discuss and see if maybe we come up with something cool or something terrible. And that's what we're going to do with this one. Not like a deep dive detail of every episode and everything that's happened, which those are really fun to do. I love doing those. But time.
It really is time at this point.
Yeah.
This is the time.
So
This is the time.
Book of Boba Fett.
We plan on going back to Nerkie. It's just literally finding time right now.
Yeah. Damn you, Marvel and Star Warses with all your things coming out all at once.
And everything.
So,
yeah, Book of Boba Fett. So, Book of Boba Fett is about our bounty hunter, Boba Fett, who we last saw in The Mandalorian with Fennec Shan. At the, they joined forces with Mando, and then at the end of, as a post-credit scene, we saw Boba Fett going to take the throne of Jabba.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's where we are. This is all about how the aftermath of that and what's happening.
Yeah. This whole series has been around that. The lead up to him taking the throne, and then some of the things that he's done since then. So this is taking place, after episode 6. I got to count in my head for a second. This is taking place after episode 6. We do see, early on in the series, we see Boba Fett emerging from the sand. Emerging from the what is it? Sarlacc? It's not Sarlacc.
Yeah, the Sarlacc pit. So
Sarlacc.
basically, what? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It's. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. It's bridging the gap of how we saw him from the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
To Mandalorian.
How we saw him in Mandalorian.
And that this is the gap. Go ahead.
Oh, hold on.
This is the gap.
So
This is the gap.
this is a really cool time frame to do things in, and then the setting of it is amazing. Star Wars has always had this like space opera feeling with like little hints of all kinds of different genres. Like there's, little flourishes of like your old school kung fu movies with some of your fight scenes and things that you get. There's always the gunslinger aspect of it, which whenever I think of gunslinger, I think of Westerns, right?
Right.
And the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett has a very, very Western feel to it.
Oh, 100%.
It is so cool. I like it a lot.
It's a space Western.
It's a space Western. And I'm not a big Westerns guy at all, really. I mean, there's some I like, but I'm not one just to sit down and watch a marathon of John Wayne movies. But I do love how they've done it with these. It's a very smart way to do it because of the setting, for one, makes sense. It looks spaghetti Western-y.
100%. 100%. Well, and it's got that storytelling aspect of it that I'm trying to think the best way to describe it is, like you said, the spaghetti Western, but it draws you in.
Right.
And you actually get a deeper feeling for the character and what makes him tick.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike, like some of the Star Wars movies where you have 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
To flesh it out.
And here's something that I just kind of build off of that for a little bit before we really get into this. I was really thinking yesterday when I watched this, I waited to watch this with my daughter because we watch all the Star Wars series, all the Marvel and Star Wars series. We try to watch those together. And I was thinking as I was going through this of how the fandom is going to be. Okay.
Right.
So with just the movies, when we had just the movies, when we just had, going way back, when we just had the original trilogy, we had years to digest all this stuff and to pick it apart and to really think about it. And then there was so much time between the original trilogy and the prequel, and then the prequel and anything new coming out.
Right.
That we had so much time to really dive into it and really become super absorbed by it if we were just consuming the visual media, if we were just consuming the movies. I mean, we ended up getting TV series later with Bad Batch and Rebels and things like that, but we had so much time to absorb all this. Now there's stuff that's coming out so fast. It's always stuff. Right. And then we're moving on to the next one. So we get Mando and we get like a year to really absorb that. Then we're into Book of Boba Fett, and then we've got Bad Batch coming out. And we've got all these things that are coming out all at once that I feel like I don't get to just like absorb it like I did before. that it's just rapid fire. Let's kick it, and it's all great stuff. And that's the thing. Like I enjoy every bit of it to a huge degree. I just haven't been able to immerse myself in it, to go back and watch and rewatch and rewatch. I mean, the original trilogy, I can't tell you how many times I watched it.
A million.
You know, and am I going to go back and rewatch the first season of Mandalorian 20 times like I did episode 4 and episode 5 and episode 6? No. I don't even know if I'll go back and rewatch. I may go back and rewatch it again.
The Mandalorian? I'm going to.
But are you going to go back and rewatch it like you did any of the movies, like you rewatch them?
To be honest, probably not. Like, just because there's so much new shit coming out.
Yeah. I feel like that's us going back and rewatching all that old stuff is what really drove our personal fandom to Star Wars or to anything that was like that, where you had that sit. And so, I mean, I'm not complaining about it at all. So I don't want that to be construed as I'm complaining about it. It's just, it's different change, you know.
This is the change.
And so
This is the change.
it is different, and I don't know, I'm just gonna have to really allow myself to immerse in it while I'm watching it. Yeah, it's just a different thing. So that was a thought I had yesterday while I was watching this that I wanted to briefly talk about while we did this episode.
Well, I don't know. There's been a lot of complaints about Book of Boba Fett that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
About how slow it is. Yeah, it is slow.
It's
but
very slow.
I really enjoy the storytelling in it because they have told exactly what happened to Boba. It's not just the quick flashback, one episode. It took 3 episodes, 4 episodes
to really flesh it out.
Right. And show what happened and how he became a Tusken Raider, basically.
That was so cool.
That was awesome. Like how they took him in, he became one of them. And I'm not gonna lie, I've always wondered how they got water and what they needed to drink out in the Tusken, in the desert on Tatooine. And they addressed that. And we see more creatures there. We've seen, like the crate dragons. We've seen whatever that one creature is with all the hands.
Well, and
it was just awesome.
And something cool that they've done, and they've done it in a very subtle way, I think. It's like it's not in your it is in your face, but you don't realize it's in your face, or I didn't. Is they're exploring. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. I think the purpose of a lot of these series are to explore the Star Wars universe outside the Skywalker saga, right?
Right.
Because there's so much out there. And what they've kind of like snuck in here, and they're doing it without it, you just totally realizing, is you're getting a lot of history of these other races and factions and groups they're presented in a very good way. Just like with the Tuscans, like there wasn't a whole lot about them in anything.
No.
And we got to see a lot in Mando and in Book of Boba Fett and all. Like we got to see, their social structure and how they survive and all these things that we wouldn't have gotten. You couldn't do just like a Tuscan series, could just be all like, just a whole lot. And it like dialogue would be really tough. But
just go.
All the subtitles would just be like random Tuscan yelling. But we got some stuff on them, and we got even the Jawas. We got some stuff on the Jawas that apparently
they're hairy.
They're hairy and they date humans. And so, I forgot the character's name. Oh shit, what is her name?
Who, Amy Sedaris?
Amy Sedaris' character's name.
Oh, if you wouldn't have said anything, I could have told you. Let's look at it. Amy Sedaris. Mandalorian. She's a great mechanic.
Paleomato.
Paleomato. Yep. And which is weird because she's actually very attractive in real life.
Oh yeah, she did a full transition of how she looks. Like What are you saying? You're saying Miss Motto's not attractive? Is that what you're saying? Is it because she's a mechanic?
I mean, if you're really into Richard Simmons' lost daughter,
This is not the way.
That is the way.
yes. But I mean, she's very. It's just funny how she's like a chameleon, you know, like in Strangers with Candy is Jerry Blank. She played this not very attractive lady, but she's actually very attractive.
But like we're getting these cool little backstories, and all the different ports. We don't see just Mos Eisley. We see Mos Epa, Mos. What are the other ones?
Where the sheriff was.
Yeah. Freetown.
And Freetown, yeah, because they called it Freetown. What was it called before there?
I thought it was Mos Espa, but I don't think that's right.
That kind of it's because that was Cobb Vanth. He was because that was Timothy Oliphant,
Yep.
the marshal, and he
They picked
was
a great person to play him.
He was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cobb Vanth.
Moss Pelgos.
Okay, it was Moss something.
Moss Pelgo.
So we're seeing all these different things. They're developing this whole story because the Pike Syndicate's coming in and running spies through, which was a big thing in. What was Spice a big thing? It might have been. Was it in Mando? Mandalorian? Something we watched. Solo. Spice was a big thing in Solo. There you go.
Solo, and then in Rebels, and because we got introduced to the Pikes. Mm-hmm. I mean,
we're seeing more of
a lot of different shows. Yeah. Bad Batch.
We're seeing a lot more of them. But it's all focused in this really small area, right? In the grand scheme of things, it's a very small area. And
but it's actually galaxy wide.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the focus of the show, like most of it.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been really cool. Like, I mean, I was saying the focus of the show, most of us happen on Tatooine.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm glad that that's getting explored. So we had some cool things happen throughout the episode. We had some characters introduced into live action that I thought was awesome. There is, because we got to see in this last episode.
Well, let's start from
start from the beginning.
Start from the beginnings. Okay. Well, we know that we've seen flashbacks and we saw who they took the throne from.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of Mandalorian, it was that he shot and killed a very fat and old Bib Fortuna.
Yeah.
He's dead. But then we saw towards the beginning, we saw Mando getting or not Mando, Boba Fett getting, what do you call it? Tributes, I guess you could say, for being the new, is it the daimyo? Is how you pronounce it?
Daimyo.
Which I find it interesting that that's what they're calling it instead of, gang boss.
Mm-hmm.
But then we saw like was it the Tressidans? Is that what Bosk was?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Tressidin. Tressidin, Star Wars.
Tressidin. Ooh la la. No, it's Tresemme.
Tresemme. What were they called? The lizard people. People Bosk.
We could just look up races seen in Book of Boba Fett.
Trandoshan. That's what it was. Precedent. Trandoshan. So that Trandoshan who offered the Wookiee pelt to Boba, that was Robert Rodriguez.
Oh.
The director of 2 of the episodes.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
The droid, the torture droid, that's Matt Berry, who has the best voice in showbiz. Matt Berry, Toast of London, Mighty Boosh, IT Crowd, you name it, he's been in it. Garth McGarry's Dark Place. he's got the just very deep British voice.
Mm-hmm.
He was in that. Who else? There was someone else. The minor domo for the mayor. He's actually famous too. Let's look this up because I can't remember all of them. Celebs and Boba Fett.
David Pasquisi.
Is that him? And of course,
he's in Veep and a few other things.
Ming-No-Wen, of course. We had Jennifer Beals, who, by the way, for being 58 years old, looks amazing as the casino owner.
We had that really cool cameo for the Rancor handler.
Yes,
midway
as
through.
Danny Trejo, Machete
himself.
And you said David Pasquale, right, for the major domo?
I probably screwed his name up, but yeah.
And then the Rhodian prisoner that he was trapped with the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
That was Sam Witwer, who is most famous for he was Galen Merrick in The Force Unleashed and the voice of Darth Maul in the Clone Wars in Rebels.
Oh, cool.
And he's done additional stuff in live action. Garza Fwip was Jennifer Beals. And yep, that was Robert Rodriguez. We saw Danny Trejo. We saw they're having just a bunch of people in. But then they're also introducing, lesser characters now too. And then we'll get to the bigger reveals here this last episode too. But to me, Book of Boba Fett is kind of like a redemption story.
Yeah.
Because the whole story centers around it. It took till fucking episode 4 for him to say, I'm tired of working for scumbags.
Right. And this is showing there's a lot of time passed from when he fell into the
Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. To where he took the throne. Like there was a lot of time passed. I don't know how long he was with the Tuskens, but I'm going to assume it was more than just like a couple weeks. I'm thinking like a couple
guessing
years.
It was years. Yeah. And I don't know. It's something about it. It's just captivated me. And one thing that who's Boba Fett? What's his name? I can't think of his name right now.
Well, he's a bounty hunter.
Yes. No, the actor.
It's Tamora Morrison.
Yeah, Tamora Morrison. The one
who has recently said that he would agree to play any and all clones going forward in anything live action.
Which would be awesome because then we might get a Rex.
Yeah.
But he has
you might get a wait, what? You might what? Oh,
Rex.
a Rex. I thought you said you might get E-Rex. Okay.
I might get a Rex.
Yeah.
Hearing that. No. Commander Rex.
That's what you call it? Okay.
Yes. Rex in effect. He has said, I guess he fought them. He's saying Boba talks way too much throughout this, and I agree with him. Boba doesn't say much, and he said, Boba is talking way too much, but they wanted this storyline.
That's the real
so that's why they have it. And I'll tell you who I've been really impressed with is Ming-No-Wen, Fennec Shand in this thing.
She's done awesome.
She is kick ass. She is amazing. So, it's all about redemption. He doesn't have a lot of people. The first people in his employ, obviously, is Fennec. And then he got the Gamoran guards, the two.
Mm-hmm.
They got attacked by the mayor, and they ended up going into another part of Mos Eisley and recruiting this gang of, It's a street gang who modifies their bodies with droid parts. Oh, that's the guy who was screwing them over for the water.
Yeah.
Bill Dotrieve.
That's who that was?
Yes. And also he was also the boss in was it News Radio?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was with the, okay, yeah.
With Dave, no, not with David Spade. That was a different one. But yeah, with News Radio with Dave Foley.
I forgot his actual name, but yeah.
He was in Office Space. Milton.
Oh, shit.
What is his name? Why can we not remember anything today?
We can't remember anything. It's been a weird weekend.
It has been a weird weekend.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep, but that was Bill Dotrieve. So he has them in his employ. And, we met a new set of Hutts, the twins.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this for a sec. They need to get rid of the CG for the Hutts. I like them better when they're animatronic puppets. I understand you can't do as
Practical
much.
effects, yeah.
Yeah. But they just looked weird, the twins.
Well, CG Hutts always look weird.
And they do. But I like how they said, Grogu has to be a puppet.
Yes.
And that's worked out great.
Yes. It has worked out amazing. Because I think we're going to go down a rabbit hole here for a second. That is so much of the original charm of the original unremastered Star Wars movies is the practical effects.
That is the way.
That is the way.
This is the way.
Practical effects are the way. That, to me, is how there was some of the effects, not all of them. I'm not going to give credit for all of them, but a lot of the practical effects from the original trilogy held up very well over the test of time. They still look really good. They don't look like corny, because CGI, there's a time frame from like early 90s to mid 2000s where CGI looked wonky. At the time, it looked great, but it did not age well.
No.
The practical effects, for the most part, aged pretty well. And that's where, you've seen the different iterations of Jabba and through all the different remasters and things. Like, some of them look terrible. So bad.
Like when Han stepped on Jabba's tail?
Yeah.
In the special edition?
Some of them just looked so bad, but the original practical effects look really good.
Right.
And I would hope that they would try, and they've done a lot of practical effects in this. There is some CGI, and there's times and places for it, but in your big major character, you can tell, and I don't like it.
I'm the same.
So
I don't know. To me, it's Star Wars is the kind of cheesy puppets that were but they're just, I think it's because that's what we grew up with.
Well, could you imagine CGI Ewoks, CGI Wookiees?
That would look awful.
It would look terrible.
Okay.
There's stuff that needs practical effects. Right.
And okay, you brought it up, so let's talk about the Wookiee.
Yeah.
We have a new Wookiee.
We have a new Wookiee. I love the new Wookiee.
Who is a bad ass. I cannot pronounce his name.
It's even credited in the
Black Chrysanthemum. Black
Chrysanthemum. Whatever. He's a big son of a bitch.
He's huge. I think the guy who plays him is huge too. And here's what I love about his character. So, Chewbacca was enslaved.
Yeah.
You always heard, let the Wookiee win. They'll tear your arms off if they lose.
Mm-hmm.
We finally get to see a Wookiee who was a gladiator. He was kicked off of his home planet. He's a disgraced Wookiee.
Yeah.
And he volunteered to become a gladiator. And then he became a bounty hunter. And we finally get to see a Wookiee unleashed, with just no morals, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way he looks at you, good God.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So there was this one scene in episode 4. maybe Book of Boba Fett. He's sitting in Jennifer Beals' casino looking at the
one of the tables. They were playing like space roulette or space craps.
who
or
was
something.
that? That was the
It was Transdoshans, I think.
it was Trandoshans. He was drinking, he's looking at him and just okay. The thing about BK, he's got these almost like brass knuckles, except they're electric.
Yeah.
That I think can do more damage with him punching than a blaster, a regular blaster. And he's looking at him, and then he finally goes nuts, and he starts, beating him. And she tells him, you're a mighty proud Wookiee. You've run up quite the tab. If you let these guys live, I'll wipe your tab clean. And he looked at him, and the next thing you know, they're down on the ground with their arms ripped off. And he throws her some money. That wasn't just a random scene.
They should have let the Wookiee win.
Well, it's yes, that too. So the Wookiees' home planet, I found out, is right next to their home planet.
Oh.
And they've been ancient enemies forever. And they're the Transdoshans, they're I believe they're hunters, like like a proud race of hunters, stuff like that. They're kind of like predators.
Yeah.
And they love the big game. They love the kill.
Oh,
and if you remember what Robert Rodriguez gave to Boba Fett was the Wookiee pelt. The ultimate game for them is a Wookiee. So they go back and forth, and don't feel too bad for them about ripping off their arms because they can regrow their limbs.
Oh, also didn't know that.
Yeah, they regrow their limbs, so they're fine. But they have they're ancient enemies, so that was more than just a random scene. It actually held a deeper meaning.
Okay, that's cool. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. After you, sir.
Okay, that is cool. Like I know I've seen some more of them in Swolder in the Old Republic in some
Right.
like the missions and things I did on there. Man, it's gonna make me want to get back into that damn game, and I don't need to.
No.
No. I don't need anything else.
And we do have a new Rancor.
We do. What was it? Did they give a name to it? That wasn't the one from.
No, it was a different one.
Okay, because it was
not from
still
Bad Batch.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It could have been.
So we have a new Rancor, and it's still a baby.
Could have been the offspring of that one.
It could have been it. Maybe. I don't know. It was just kind of cool. We see a Rancor in the Rancor pit because, he dropped people down in the Rancor pit.
Yeah.
During the series, and everyone's flipping out, and they're like, "Oh, relax. There's no Rancor."
Now there is.
And then now there is. Well, and like we said, the whole thing about Book of Boba Fett, it's about redemption and him wanting to take over the throne. He doesn't want to work for scummy people anymore. That's how he convinced BK.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more people in this. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But so the last 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, I mean, we could, I hate even saying it this way, but we've pretty much caught you up on Book of Boba Fett right now.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of cool little things. If you go back and you watch it, you'll catch. But
yeah, it's storytelling.
It's the rise. It's him rising to power, and we still have 2 episodes left, and we still have another season of The Mandalorian. Okay, so hold on before we go into that. Have you heard or read or any talk of a second season of the Book of Boba Fett, or is it just like a sub entry into the Mandalorian?
So far, there's no talk of 2. From what I've been reading, it's just supposed to be a one shot.
So that's where I'm thinking like this is a sub entry into the. So it's like the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett kind of thing, like how.
Well, but yeah, no, that's That's to my understanding. There's not talk of any more
Okay.
right now.
And that's important to one of my theories.
Okay, and we will go on that too.
Yep. I'm just
So-
I want to make sure I established that early. I wasn't missing anything, because if there was going to be more, then that would throw one of the theories
Theories
right out the
out.
window. Yeah.
And as of right now, there's no talk of picking it up. But one of the other great parts of this is you see Boba is not quite fully healed. He's always in a back to tank dreaming. That's how we go to the flashbacks. And it's not just a quick flashback. Like I said, it's a full flashback.
He eventually gets fully
with the
healed,
Tusken
though.
Raiders. Yeah, he eventually gets fully healed. But he's constantly in the back to tank.
Yeah. Wonder what's in those.
Back to. Girl, you look good. Let me back that tank up. Literally, we've caught you up with Book of Boba Fett. It's storytelling. And the last episode, Coda called it. He messaged me. He said, it is the most Star Wars thing I have seen in the past 10 years. And I agree with him. Because we had, Boba's story, but then the last 2 episodes should have been called the Mando story.
Yeah.
Because we got a unexpected Mandalorian story in this. And rewind a little bit. One major change, they renamed Slave One in this too. It is no longer Slave One.
Or did he just call it by a different distinction?
He called it by what the class of ship is.
Right. So.
But they're not calling it Slave One anymore.
Right. He didn't call it, but he didn't give the ship another name.
No. But
he just called it by the class. So
I think Disney's going to kind of let that just kind of go.
Yeah.
To make people forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what are your thoughts on renaming Slave One? To me, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, there's been slaves throughout history.
It did. Okay, so
any culture, there has been slaves. There's slaves in the Romans. And is it a good thing? No, but there's been slaves.
Calling it by its class in the show didn't bother me. It being renamed is not going to have a huge effect on me enjoying the content.
Right.
Their decision to rename it, I don't know, kind of questionable. But I can understand. Again, like I talk about stuff from this angle a lot. I can understand it from a business perspective. Okay.
Right.
If you're trying to get ahead of any potential backlash and things, and then, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's going to have a huge effect on me enjoying the show down the road.
I don't either. It just, I don't know. And this is for another episode, because we actually talked about doing an episode like this, but we got to tread carefully on it. Mm-hmm. Cancel culture to me is going a little too far, because now I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction. Cancel this. I don't like it. Offends me. Okay, cool. You're going to get everyone's offended by something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be a knee-jerk reaction just to cancel something just because you don't like it. I mean, look into it. There's 2 sides to every story. Like, look at the Chris Hardwick situation.
Yes. That's
a prime example.
That's a prime example where it was found that no wrongdoing happened, if I remember right.
His career got fucked.
Yeah, royally. He kind of got dethroned from the media empire, if you want. I guess you can call it empire, that he created with the Nerdist.
Yeah.
And he still has a part of it in a sense, but not so much. Like he's back to doing his own thing now, and then.
But how many years has it taken him to get back?
A lot. I didn't even know he was doing another podcast. I had to look it up. I used to listen to the Nerdist like daily. The Nerdist was one of my favorite podcasts ever.
But now we have to find something else.
Yeah, well, he's doing another podcast. It's the
what is it?
It's the ID10T podcast. ID10T. Yeah. And
okay, I got to check that one.
It still has that. It still has that old school Nerdist podcast feel to it. So but I had to look for it. Like I didn't know he was still doing things. So that was a whole. He was doing so much stuff, and that he got kind of fucked over on that whole deal. But back to the original thing with Boba's ship, like he was a slave. Like he holds that part of his past, and very close, and that's where the ship name came from. And so I don't know. I do feel there's some knee jerk to it. It could have that could have been handled a lot of different ways. But that being said, them making the decision to do that doesn't affect whether I enjoy the show more or less.
Right.
Or
I get that. I get
story
that.
more or less.
So we had the Mandalorian episode, which was 5, which was phenomenal because we got to see what happened after Mando went to, dropped off Grogu.
Yep.
He meets back up with the last surviving members of his order.
Yeah.
The armor, and then I forget the other guy's name, the heavy weapons. Mandalorian, who you come
Chad.
You come to find out, I think his ancestor was the one who forged the dark.
Either forged or wielded it for a very long time. Is one of the two.
I think they forged it because that was the whole thing. This is where it gets kind of tricky. Because, and bear with me, because this is all going to come into play with the next episode too. There was actually a Mandalorian who became a Jedi who forged the Darksaber. And I do love how at the beginning of this episode, we see Mando wielding the Darksaber in combat, and you can tell like something's wrong because it looked like it was heavy and he could barely swing it as combat was going on. Then he accidentally burned himself. To me, that's the most accurate representation of a lightsaber there is for someone who doesn't know how to use it.
Right.
The armor teaches Mando a little bit about the history of the Darksaber, how it has to be won through combat, and how you have to go with it. You can't fight it. That's why it's so heavy. Chad challenges Mando. They fight. Mando wins. And then, the armor is talking to them, and the armor tells Chad, "Have you ever removed your helmet?" He goes, "No, this is the way." And then she looks at Mando, gives him the speech, goes, "Have you ever removed your helmet?" And he's silent. And then she goes, "Have you ever removed your helmet?" He goes, "Yes." And she goes, "Well, then you are Mandalorian no more." And she tells him the only way for redemption is he has to go to this cave on Mandalore, or this ocean that's been buried. That was another cool scene too.
The Caves of Mandalore. Okay.
Yeah, the Caves of Mandalore. It was what was the night called?
Oh, the crap. It was trying to remember. They talked about Night of 1,000 Tears.
Night of 1,000 Tears. They actually showed for the first time the bombing during the Night of 1,000 Tears. Like all those TIE bombers and stuff just demolishing the planet.
Yeah.
And so you get a little bit more insight into Mandalorian culture and what happened, because we've never seen that before. And so Mando goes to Tatooine. Well, okay. He had the armor. Let's back up a little bit too. He had the armor melt down his Beskar spear, because she says that is not a Mandalorian weapon that can pierce Beskar. Yeah. A shield is Mandalorian.
Well, Beskar is used for defensive purposes, not for offensive purposes.
Right. And he has her melt it down, and she goes, "What's it for?" And he said, "It's for a foundling. It's for Grogu." Has her make something. Did you know what it was going to be?
Once I saw the rings, I had a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Once I saw the rings, and like, okay, she's making chainmail.
Chainmail, right? Made out of Beskar.
Yeah, because he's a little guy. He needs something kind of light so he can move
Right.
around. I was really hoping it was going to be a helmet though, because that'd been freaking cool.
Oh, that would have been
His
awesome.
little ears.
Yes. But then, Mando grabs that, and it's now we can see where Mando's path is going to lead for season 3 of The Mandalorian. It's redemption to become a Mandalorian again and the right to wield the sword.
The armor wields a lot of power in their sect.
Yep.
I almost feel like this was not necessary. I mean, it was like what she's saying that he has to do now. I mean, yeah, it is a punishment, right?
Right.
But I feel like it was a necessary thing. Like I feel like she's putting him on a path, if that makes sense. Like she's sending him purposely for the redemption to make him not necessarily like stronger, but she has a plan for him. So I think she feels like that maybe he should either rule or have a very high position of power, and she's sending him on this path to help justify what that will be when the time comes.
Yeah, I could see that. There's one theory going around that the armor is Sabine Wren from Rebels. She was kind of the wild child, like free artistic spirit. She inherited the Darksaber in Rebels.
Okay.
Sabine's awesome. Like she always made like her Mandalorian helmet was always colorful. She spray painted TIE fighters and shit, like tagged them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's Sabine because Sabine would be very old during this time period. But I don't know. I just don't think it's Sabine, but that's one theory.
Well, let's see here. What year are we assuming this is happening? This is roughly what we'd say.
Because Rebels was in between 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm. So it's saying, like, I'm looking at Wikipedia and saying she was born 21 BBY, so 21 for battle of so this would put her 20. I mean, she would be in her 40s or 50s, maybe
then, but I don't know. I just have a hard. I think if anything, we'll see Sabine in the Ahsoka show. I don't think she's the armor because Sabine was more of the free spirit and not the traditional Mandalorian.
Right.
So that's why I don't think it's her.
Let's see. She was born 21. Ahsoka. Let me see when she was born.
So while you're looking that up, I'll talk about this. Tell me you got it.
I'm trying to compare her age with Ahsoka.
Okay, you do that, and I'll talk about this. Mando goes back to the planet, meets up with Amy Sedaris.
Ahsoka's only 15 years older than her.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's some thought on that.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
She tells Mando, "Hey, I've got this cool new spaceship for you." She pulls it out. It was an N1 Naboo starfighter that we saw in episode 1. So I was super excited about that. But they redid it. We finally found out that one of the parts that they're using for that, what the part was called in episode 4 when the trash compactor of the Death Star that they used to stop the walls.
And supposedly a very hard part to acquire.
Yes.
And just hanging out in a trash compactor.
And there it is. They threw it away.
Mm-hmm.
But they basically redo the starfighter and rebuild it. And here's where you find out that Jawas are hairy and Amy Sedaris dated one.
Yep.
And she can speak Jawa. That was the funniest damn scene. Oh, another Easter egg. The droid that was running from the creature was the one from the last. It's maybe not the same one, but the same kind of droid from the last Star Wars game.
I think it is the same one.
You think it is?
I think I had read that it is the same. I forget his name, but yeah.
On Fallen Order.
Was it Fallen Order?
Yeah. Well, I forget the droid's name, but they did mention the planet that was on there, so we might be seeing our Jedi from there. Maybe not.
Possibly. Still reading on this N1 a little bit.
So we got the N1. They redid it like a it was Cal Kestis was the Jedi from there, and they mentioned the planet he was on. So we might actually be seeing him. That'd be cool if we did, because he's a fallen Padawan, I guess you could say. Fallen because Order 66.
Right.
But they redid the Starfighter. It basically looked like an old muscle car at that point because it had the engine sticking out. And she said, here's where, the astromech droid is supposed to go, but I cleared it out, figured that's not you. You wouldn't want a droid.
Yeah. Then
it was this cool scene, which went back to episode 1.
Oh, when he's flying through the canyons?
When he's flying through the canyons.
Yeah.
Which was a cool scene. And then you see the pod racers where they would have been.
Was it the same route?
Yeah, it was the same. I believe it was the same route.
Or close to. I mean, at least it went through some of the same places.
I'm pretty sure it was the same route.
So I think that was a false foreshadow. Well, possibly true foreshadow. We're waiting to see because they left the hub for the droid back there where the droid would usually sit is open.
Right.
So instantly you're going to think, oh, that's where Grogu's going to go.
That's what I thought.
He's going to ride back there and there's going to be this cool little tandem thing. But that's theories yet to discuss. Unless we want to get into them.
On that, yeah, we'll get into that here in a sec. I want to get through this part first.
Okay.
Here's what I don't like about the ship is fast as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the dad from Kim's Convenience who's the rebel police officer.
Yeah.
Again, we see him because Mando's like, let me get my papers, and he blasts off. The thing's fast as hell.
Yeah.
He likes it. Here's what I don't like. Compared to his old ship was a gunship, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was meant you could live in it.
Yes.
You cannot do that in the N1.
No.
There's no bathroom. There's nowhere to eat. And being a bounty hunter,
there's nowhere to store his bounties.
There's nowhere. Yeah, there's nothing. So that's kind of why. That's kind of why I got a problem with this ship.
Well,
it's cool as hell,
but
it's not practical.
Unless he's transitioning from being a bounty hunter,
which I have a feeling is one of your theories.
Mm-hmm.
So we move on. That was probably one of the best episodes I've seen until the last episode, where Mando's trying to get help. We revisit all these places. We go back and we see the sheriff from the Mandalorian. We see all sorts of cool stuff. And then all of a sudden, we see this figure walking towards Freetown.
You can kind of make out the hat.
You can make out the hat. Once he got a little bit closer, I knew exactly who it was.
You know what that scene reminded me of?
What?
Remember on Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where the two guards are standing outside the castle, and he's going, and it's which one was he? Was it John Cleese? He's running towards the castle with a sword. Was it Lancelot? I think
it was Lancelot. Yeah,
it was running.
When he was going to save, was it Sir Robin?
Yeah.
No.
Sir Robin was the one that was scared
Galahad.
I
think it was
Galahad. It may be Galahad.
The castle full of horny women.
No. Where he got the note that someone was being kept against their will in the tower.
Oh, yeah,
it was the
and
prince.
He's going through chopping everyone's heads off.
But when he approaches the castle, and it takes him 8 cuts before he gets there, because he's just running, and they're just looking at him, and then he's running, and they're looking at him, and they're peeling an orange or something. And then he just the next cut is him right there. He's like, aha! And he's hitting everybody and killing everyone. It's I'm so sorry.
I love
That's what that
movie.
scene when we
I
saw
could
the
see that.
figure approaching made me think of. Like, he's never going to get here.
I could see that. Well, when we did see him, he was my favorite bounty hunter, who they brought into live action. Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't sound like Cad. He looked a little older. You got to remember, Cad is old as fuck during this though too.
Yeah, see where he would be now. I'm now on
Because
this
he was
thing where
old
I
to
like
begin with.
love looking up these dates of birth.
You keep doing that.
Yeah.
But I've seen some bitching online about he looks different than he does during the Clone Wars. Yeah, he's older and it's not going to look the same as transitioning to television live action because the Clone Wars and Rebels had exaggerated features. Look at Christopher Lee as Count Dooku compared to his Clone Wars character.
You can't make him look like that now.
No. And like someone's like, his hat's too small. It's like, well, it's also got to be functionable. And it was awesome, except the one line that stood out to me that I saw the best meme ever that said, how the fuck is this guy going to tell anyone to stick their nose out of something?
Mm-hmm.
The joke is, if you don't know, if you're listening to this and you've never seen it, Cad Bane doesn't have a nose.
No, he's got like a mush.
And sharp teeth. He's just awesome. Cad Bane's awesome. I love Cad Bane. And he ends up shooting the sheriff who was trying to rally them, but I think it had the opposite effect because I think now the town's going to rally.
Yeah.
Did find out the sheriff didn't die. He's just wounded badly.
Yeah. Well, he shot him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
He didn't want to kill the sheriff because the sheriff, he needed somebody to relay.
He killed the
message.
deputy.
Yeah. Yeah. He did shoot the sheriff and he did kill the deputy.
Kill the deputy.
Yeah. It's
This is the way.
he is pretty old. So Cad Bane was born in
I don't know how long they're
62 for the Battle of Yavin. So that puts him, he's a Duros.
Yeah. I don't know how long Duros live.
Oh, listen to this. Okay, so he's kind of paler now, right?
Right.
When their species reaches old age, their skin would turn pale and the outside of their mouth would turn dark purple. So he's going to get paler as he gets older. How long do they live? You keep going. I'm down a rabbit hole now.
So Cad Bane showed up. I think we're gearing up for a really epic fight because Cad Bane is probably one of the best notorious Jedi killers out there.
Mm-hmm.
He fought him with guns and he's just smart. He's cunning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Cad Bane's one of my favorites. So I'm very interested to see where they're going to take that. We see Luke with Grogu, which I found out Luke was not a CG. That was an actual actor who looks like Mark Hamill. Yeah.
I thought they did the deep fake stuff.
I did that too. No, that's actually a real actor.
Wait a minute. Are you sure? And they didn't do like the face?
No, it's a real actor. Like that. Well, and it was cool because he had Grogu on his back. It was reminiscent of Empire Strikes Back.
But Mark Hamill is still credited as
the voice.
Is he credited as the voice?
I think so. But it's actually an actor.
You hear me typing away furiously.
You're fine. You're fine. But no, I saw an article with that because I thought it was, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Screen Rant will tell me.
He was going around with Grogu on his back, and he was showing him how to use the Force. It was really interesting in this whole training. He was jumping up and down, and Mando goes to see Grogu, and who does he meet? You remember?
I was still reading. I didn't even know what you
said.
Okay.
It was Ahsoka. He met Ahsoka.
Yes.
Then Ahsoka, basically tells Mando if he becomes a Jedi, he might be a Padawan now. he has to lose all attachments. Do you think he's going to want to leave you or constantly come to you when he needs to be training to protect himself? And so Mando decides to give Ahsoka the chainmail and says, here you go. This is for him. And he leaves, and Grogu notices him leaving. Grogu's actually getting pretty good with the Force. He learned how to force jump and other stuff Luke's teaching him. Really important part. Luke puts the chainmail on one side and then a lightsaber on the other. He said, this is a lightsaber. This one belonged to Master Yoda. Here's the problem. You can only choose one path. You can choose the path of the Mandalore, or you can choose to be a Jedi. A minute to you is a lifetime, or a short time to you is a lifetime to everyone else, because Yoda's species is so long-lived. And so that's a big thing. We know if we go with canon in the comics and the movies, because Luke told Grogu, I'm building my Jedi school here. You would be my first pupil. We know from canon, Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, was Luke's first student. He said, I was the first and the rest followed after me. But we also know that Disney loves to rewrite canon.
Hold on, let's back up for just a second. I'm trying to remember who said, was it Kylo? Was it Ben that said he was the first, or did Luke say Ben was his first?
It was Kylo if you go by the comics.
So he may not have known about Grogu. That could be their out.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, Disney loves to rewrite canon.
Yeah, well, especially if it's from the comics. If it's not on the screen with Disney, then they'll change it. They can change it for the screen. Like this is, unless it's visually, like they've produced it and it's been shown out there, it's not canon yet. And I think in their eyes, I think it's where it's really hard to get that from.
We see that was really cool. Another part I really loved, which a lot of people didn't realize, is this showed that Ahsoka and Luke knew each other. She even goes, "You are just like your father," when Luke said something. It was just really cool to find out that they knew each other.
Yeah.
And then when she left, when she goes, "May the Force be with you," like I got goosebumps. It was awesome. And that's where we are today.
So,
where do you think we're going? Or do you have something else?
No. I think I'm good on recap. There's a lot of, I've been thinking about this series a lot and a lot of things that could come from it. And I think it all boils down to what we just saw. Sorry, I had something on my monitor there. In that last episode. So we'll come back. Let's start with Mando and Boba. Okay. I had just a wild random thought, and I've told you about this, but we're going to talk about it for the show now.
Right.
That we're seeing Mandalorian, we're seeing Din Djarin a lot in this. He's taken over the last two episodes pretty much for a big portion of those. Boba's getting old. He's beat up. He's beat down. He's having a change of heart in a way. Like he's the crime boss, but he's went from, he was a bad guy. Then now he's not so bad guy. He's wanting to keep spice off the planet. He's still kind of strong arming for protection money here and there, but I haven't seen really any nefarious motives behind anything he's doing yet.
Right.
But he is getting older and he's injured. I think we have a potential Dread Pirate Roberts situation coming up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm with you.
The Dread Pirate Robert, Princess Bride, best movies of all time.
Agreed.
When Wesley catches up with Buttercup and he's, he got the mask on, and she thought that Wesley was killed by the Dread Pirate Roberts. He confides to her that he was captured by the Dread Pirate Roberts, which everybody knew was this terrible pirate. He was ready to retire, Dread Pirate Roberts. So he let Wesley take over the helm as Dread Pirate Roberts, slowly introduced him, and then he took over. And it's been done several times over and over again.
Right.
What I think we could see, just because of what they wear. Well, I don't know. Maybe now that I think about it for a second, we may not be able to do this. But potentially Mando could take over. He could pass the helm on of Boba, of the legend of Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, where he could take over. But Boba's been seen without his helmet several times throughout the city now. Now I think about it, that pokes some holes in my theory. Unless Mando never removes, like he gets Boba's armor and then he never takes it off in front of people. But I could see, or maybe he just passes the torch onto him as he gets older and lets Mando do that thing. That's that theory that may or may not work. But now that I thought about that Boba's been seen without his helmet, that doesn't do any good.
Well, it was a good theory.
It was. I discredited my own
sound.
theory.
Well, I hope we see Omega, his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Because we haven't heard anything that she died. So I'm really hoping that we see Omega. I'm hoping we actually see her in the next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So the same day that
what if they just what if they just take like this blonde wig and they just stick it on Tamora Morrison and then he cameo
and then he goes around and he goes, Rekka.
Heck. Oh God.
Rekka. Okay, that'd be awesome. I'd want to see that. I would actually watch that.
That would be funny as shit. They're running Spice.
It would be Boba Fett's drag race.
Oh, son of a bitch. That made me laugh.
Boba Fett's drag race.
I don't think we'll see her, personally.
I don't think we will either, but I'm hoping we will.
Yeah. I think
I'd love to see her.
Because what that will do, if we see her, then that's going to show that she totally survives anything that's coming up on Bad Batch.
Right. But
I don't think we'll see her until we get something in Bad Batch that makes definitive that she has lived a longer life than whatever that run of that series is going to be.
well, here is one reason why I'm holding on to this. The same day that this episode came out, Wednesday, the new Marvel comic came out with what was her name? Emilia Clarke's character, Kara.
Yeah.
It's about her, and she finds this girl who everyone suspects is Omega. Came out the exact same day, and they're saying somehow this story is going to tie into the Book of Boba Fett story.
Are they thinking that maybe she'll play Omega?
No, I don't know any other than that, but somehow the girl that they said that Kira found is supposedly Omega.
That was in the comic?
Yeah, it was in the comic.
Okay.
So I'm kind of hoping that we see, I can never pronounce her name, Dr. Afra. I'm hoping we see Omega. I'm hoping that Boba becomes the true crime lord, the boss.
Yeah.
Because he's got the Rancor. And I hope, I want him to build this power, because then it's a spot for Mando to go back to when he needs help or stuff. It's kind of like a base of operations.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's going to depend on how long they want to run these series. And they just want to do a couple of seasons, which is understandable. And I hope they don't run this shit into the ground. I don't want to see season 17 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I want to get that stuff wrapped up and tight, because I just think back to you get burnt out on it when there's too much. That goes back to what I was talking about earlier, and then some other shows. Like I'm so far behind on The Walking Dead because I got burnt out because it was just so much. Let's wrap up the story. But that's just me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want them to pound it into the ground, and I don't know where they're going to go, because today they announced that they've already renewed season 2 of what's the one with Cassius? The one from Diego Luna's character, Cassian from why can't I think of anything today? It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
Our brains are broke.
They really are. They announced season 2 already ahead of the premiere of season 1.
Oh, okay. Hold on here. See,
You know what I'm talking about.
We got Book of Boba Fett, Andor.
They've announced season 2 of Andor already.
So this year, okay, since we're still early in the year, before we get to the other theories, let's talk about what we got coming out. We got Andor coming out. We have there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi show,
which is going to be awesome. Bad Batch season 2 in March.
Ewan McGregor is going to come back in that. Hayden Christensen has been confirmed return as Vader in that. So that's cool.
Which is going to be awesome.
Mando season 3, Rogue Squadron, the Ahsoka show, Rangers of the New Republic.
I think Rogue and Raiders of the New Republic have both been put on hold indefinitely.
Yeah, they're to be determined. Lando to be determined.
Because Gina Carano was supposed to lead the Rangers of the New Republic.
Oh yeah. The Acolyte. A mystery thriller. A droid story is supposed to be animated, and then a new movie.
So okay, let's talk about this other one. Bryce Dallas Howard directed the last episode, or the episode before that, 5, I think, was the Mandalorian episode. She directed 5 or 6, I can't remember. Let's give her a damn movie already.
Yeah.
God, it was the one, everyone she's touched, it shows she understands the source material.
Yeah.
So give her a movie. She understands it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I also loved her in Jurassic World. So
I love her. I just love her in general. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this right now and what part it's going to play in the bigger universe. I think it's going to end up having ramifications, though, in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And possibly in the Ahsoka show.
Yeah. I think they've got the right people to lean on to do these type of big arcing interconnected stories well, with Marvel being a part of Disney now.
Right.
Because Marvel does it well. It's a totally different style. But I think that's what we're going to start seeing. And if they can do it as good as Marvel does it, then I'll be okay.
If they can.
If they can.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm. And let's try to strike gold twice, and they're sitting on diamonds right now with Star Wars. So
yeah. And this is what I'd like to hear from our listeners. Where do you all think it's going?
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
You got to poop?
No, I was just thinking that before we get to wrap up point, we got to talk about Grogu.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Let's start that then.
Yep, we'll talk about Grogu, and because we went for a while, and so let's talk about his 2 choices really quick. Basically, he's going to choose the saber or the armor, the chainmail, right?
The Jedi or the Mandalore? Path of
Jedi or the Mandalore. And so I was talking with my daughter about this after. She's like, "What do you think he's going to choose?" And like, it's really hard to tell. I think if he chooses the saber, then he's likely going to die at some point, because we hear no talk of him through, episode 7 and 8, especially with 8, with Luke claiming to be, or, basically staying like he's the last of the Jedi.
Right.
So either he takes the lightsaber and something happens and he dies, or he doesn't complete his training, which could lead to him. We could have a Darth Grogu. What would he be? Like if he went bad. If Grogu goes bad, it could be one of the coolest things ever. People would be pissed. They would be pissed.
It'd be Grogu.
It'd be so cool. Or, he goes the path of Mandalorian, and then he goes on that way with it, and he lives.
Oh, we forgot something important with Grogu, too. we got a flashback to Order 66 and how he got saved.
Was he hiding? What was he?
No, he was in plain sight. There was three unnamed Jedi that were there, and they all fell. You know, you saw the clone troopers going. If you look very closely on the right wall, I had to double check on her name because I couldn't remember it. But the symbol on it could be nothing, or it could be, you know, Disney and Marvel always do something intentionally.
Yeah.
It was Barriss Offee's symbol on the wall. She was the Jedi traitor that tried to kill Ahsoka in the Clone Wars.
Okay.
She was the Padawan of Luminaria. And she ended up being evil, but, you know, she might have seen what happened and decided to save Grogu because they panned out. It went black after the 3 Jedi fell. Could be something big.
Could be.
We could see another possible fallen Jedi.
So he was definitely, well, as soon as, you know, I'm looking at Looper right here, confirms that he was at the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So who helps him escape the temple?
That's the big question.
That's the big question. You know, there's a theory that, you know, Mace Windu may have helped somehow.
Right.
Or, you know, all these different things. But I guess we'll find out in the next couple episodes, hopefully.
I hope so. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
Did we hit it on the head? Do you guys think something different? What do you guys think we should do?
I'm really curious. I mean, there's so many paths that they can go with on it and I think they can go down any of those paths as long as they make them interesting enough. And I think they have the capability to do that.
I do too. Too.
Let's talk about it. Find out. Join the Discord.
Join us.
Tell us what we got wrong.
The Discord.
That is the way.
Yeah. That is the way below.
Below.
The Discord. This is the way.
This is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a fun one. And we got to wear our Mandalorian helmets.
Mm-hmm. Virtually.
You know what? I'll take it.
Yep. So yeah, if you guys are just listening, check out the YouTube, at least briefly.
At least, well, this
We're pretty
might
happy
be a
with these.
picture. I might not even Photoshop a picture because
I don't think we'd have to.
So, but yeah. So, what do you guys think? Give us a ring-a-ding-ding.
Mm-hmm.
For all boo-boo here. So, with that, this has been Every Man's Guide to Nerddom and the Book of Boba Fett. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyle. Wherever you guys are, please have a great night, evening, whatever it is. And just please try to
be good to each other.
That is the way.
That is the way. See ya.
See ya.
Nerd could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word.